Welcome to the Cambridge Tech Podcast, talking all things technology from the heart of the UK's tech capital. Here are your hosts, Faye Holland and James Parton.
So Marco, thanks so much for taking the time to come onto the show today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm originally from Costa Rica. My background is in aerospace engineering, working mainly with small satellites. I was actually the project manager of the first satellite that we launched in Costa Rica, the first satellite mission that we developed. And this was back, from 2015 to 2018. We're looking at how to use very small satellites that could fit in the palm of your hand to monitor rainforests in Costa Rica. And after we launched the satellite in 2018, I relocated to the UK. My main goal then was starting a space company, and the UK seemed like a really great place to do it. The main issue I had is I didn't know much about business. It was mainly a technical background. So I started an MBA at Imperial College. During the MBA, I started working on an entrepreneurship project with a couple of researchers at the University of Cambridge who eventually became my co-founders, and that we eventually spun out SuperSharp Space Systems.
That's a great introduction. Let's go back through a few of those things. So project manager at the first satellite launch in Costa Rica. I mean, how did you get into that? What was that like?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Up until 2015, from 2012 to 2015, I was doing my master's in aerospace engineering at the Delft University of Technology in the Netherlands. And a group at the Technical University of Costa Rica approached me saying that they were working on this satellite mission. At that point, it was still a concept. They were looking into how to develop this mission. And they wanted a project manager with the technical expertise as well, which is something that they were missing over there. And when I joined, it was still a small team, a lot of volunteers working on it. But at that stage, maybe it was like 5 to 10 people working on it. And, we started looking at what the satellite could actually do, how it can align to the objectives of the country. At that time, Costa Rica had the objective of becoming carbon neutral. I think the date was in 2021. So we thought, why not use space technology to support that objective and to demonstrate the benefits of using space technology on Earth and how it can be used to support the country's overall ambitions. We started working on this project, saw that it could be used to monitor rainforests in Costa Rica, specifically how the trees are growing by installing some ground sensors. So the purpose of the satellite was collecting information from these ground sensors and relaying them back to the Technical University of Costa Rica so the scientists could do their analysis and demonstrate how much carbon was being absorbed by the rainforest.
And was it that experience that then made you say, I want to start up?
While working on this project, I did see a lot of potential for space technology and how it could be used to solve problems here on Earth. At that moment, I also saw how many startups were coming out of universities, and one image that really inspired me was the founders of Planet Labs, which now operate the largest Earth observation constellation. It was a picture of them building their first satellite in a garage. It was similar to the Apple story or Microsoft, and I thought, wow, okay, this can be done in space. So this is a reality, and I want to be part of it.
I love that. And now I want to bring in the UK bit. So why the UK?
I was looking at different places where I could relocate. I think the main issue I had in Costa Rica was the funding that's required to start a space company, especially if you're building hardware. It's considerable, probably in the millions or tens of millions. It would have been very difficult to get it in Costa Rica. The other factor was the industry. The UK has a very well-established space industry with a lot of heritage. And of course, well, London is one of the startup capitals of the world. To be honest, I didn't know much about startups in Cambridge. That's why I wanted to go to London initially. I was doing my degree at Imperial College. But it just seemed a good fit. And third reason, my girlfriend at the time, she had a full scholarship to come to study here to the UK. So yeah, that was that was a combination of things, not only global but personal too.
Great. So you've got your inspiration. You're in the UK. Tell us about SuperSharp. Where did the idea come from, and what does the technology do?
Yeah, so the idea originally came from Professor Ian Parry, who's one of the co-founders and chief scientific officer. So he was looking at how you can use unfolding space telescopes to look for life in other planets. So it was originally an astronomy project. He also saw the potential of using this in Earth observation. So when I was at Imperial, I got in touch with Ian through another colleague. And there I met Ian and George, who's George Hawker, the company CTO and co-founder. He was doing his PhD under Ian's supervision. They were both developing the technology, and they wanted somebody to lead the commercial side of the project to start spinning out. During our first interview, I remembered a statement I saw from a professor in a conference in Berlin in 2017, where he said small satellites, like very small satellites, can't be used for observation because people want very high resolution, and there is a limit on how big a camera you can fit in a small package. And what I saw during that first interview was how using unfolding optics, so basically deployable optics, can effectively turn a very small package into a large, powerful telescope. So I did see a lot of potential in that technology.
And I'm guessing the advantage of putting that into a small satellite is just the cost of build and launching of those smaller satellites compared to a much larger one, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, the way we say it, it's you can get 4 times better resolution per unit cost, meaning that with a very small satellite the size of a microwave, you can match what's say commercially the state of the art in terms of thermal imaging. Or you can scale up this technology to a larger satellite platform, and with unfolding optics, you can really capture the sharpest images that will be available in the market.
And you're the sharpest regardless of size. You are the market leader in resolution, is that right?
Eventually, when we launch the larger version of our telescope, we will be the market leader in resolution in the thermal infrared.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And SuperSharp focus on the design and build of the telescope, not the satellite, right?
Exactly. Yes. Our core technology is the telescopes. We've seen that right now there's a lot of partners that we can work with that build the satellite platforms. We can also launch with different providers. Even on the operation side of things, there's companies that support this. So really the key differentiator is this technology, the unfolding telescope.
So what kind of applications then does your technology kind of enable?
Yeah, that's a good question. Initially we're focusing mainly on thermal imaging technology because we saw a gap in the market when we started out SuperSharp. We saw that there's a lot of companies offering optical images, even radar images, but thermal, there aren't a lot of these. The reason is because it's very challenging. You need a very large telescope to get high-resolution thermal images because the wavelength compared to optical imaging is almost 20 times as big. So if you want to match optical resolution, you need basically a telescope that's 20 times as big. So it's very difficult to do that. That's what we can do with our technology. It's really the best solution we've seen in capturing thermal images. And with a thermal imaging satellite, you can create global temperature maps for many applications, really to mitigate some of the world's most pressing challenges. You can do urban energy monitoring by looking at buildings that are running hotter during winter and take action to accelerate decarbonization. Or you can also look in agriculture, detecting heat stress in crops at an early stage to boost yield. So before there's any physical changes in the crops, this technology can act as an early warning system to know where to take action and effectively improve your yields. And of course, there's applications in security and defense, since you can see day and night and through smoke and camouflage. Global thermal imaging can give you very unique insights for these applications and many more.
If you are a startup looking to grow in Cambridge, the Bradfield Centre offers a range of flexible membership packages which put you in control of your office and home working mix. There's a vibrant, collaborative atmosphere, on-site cafe, plenty of green outside space, and regular member social events. We also offer a range of high-quality meeting spaces for hire, and for tech event organisers, our auditorium, lakeside pavilion, and atrium spaces are perfect to bring your communities together for in-person and hybrid events. For more information, visit bradfieldcentre.com or call 01223 919 600.
Are you going to be launching multiple satellites with multiple cameras to give you global coverage, or is it an orbital kind of solution? How does that kind of work?
Yeah, initially we're going to start with one satellite. Well, in the right orbit, you can effectively get global coverage. But by adding more satellites, you can take more images of a certain location more often. So that's the revisit rate. I'd say the main two features that end users of these images want are high resolution and for high value application, high revisit as well. So they want many images of the same location. We're going to start with one, but eventually the plan is to operate multiple satellites to increase that revisit rate problem.
So a single camera on a single satellite, how much coverage does that give you then in terms of distance?
Well, you can map the entire world.
Thermally?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So how much data is that collecting then, and how do you process that amount of data?
Yeah, that's that's an issue that we're starting to consider now that we're building our first satellite. I mean, in terms of data, compared to optical images, thermal images are much smaller. Okay. Because the number of pixels are smaller too in a single image. But still, by taking multiple images, you're going to have to consider problems such as downloading from satellites to ground stations and then processing. The good thing is that the space infrastructure is developing very quickly. So there's a lot of these different partners that can help you along the value chain. Yeah, not only downloaded the data, but eventually processing it and getting insights from the data as well, which is what's valuable to the customer in the end, to the end user.
So as Faye said, you're focusing on the technology of the telescope rather than the end-to-end solution, your partner for that.
Exactly. We're very much an upstream company. We build hardware, we build these telescopes, and say our activities are more focused on the build of the telescope, integration into another satellite platform, and we're going to partner with other companies for operations of the satellite too.
So you've been obviously very focused on R&D to date, but I believe your launch is, you're intending to launch in, say, the next 18 months?
Mid-2026, so in the next couple of years is when we're aiming to launch our first satellite.
And how have you, if I may ask, funded so far? It's a lot of investment for research and development. So how have you been funded?
It's really from different sources. I mean, originally, our first grant that started company operations was back in 2020. So it was a UK Space Agency grant to develop our first prototype in-house. I mean, after that, it's been funded through, grants from different sources like the UK Space Agency, Innovate UK. We recently started a new contract with the European Space Agency. We've also had technology development contracts with the UK Ministry of Defence through their Defence and Security Accelerator. And, we've also had equity investment from the university, from angel investors based here in Cambridge. And last year, we joined the Atlantis group in Spain, which is a large Earth observation group that also provided financial support.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come on to the acquisition. I mean, it must have been a huge validation of the technology and the team to be acquired so, I say, relatively quickly from the company formation. You were acquired in 23 and you're not even launching until 26, right? So that must have been exciting to get that kind of validation so quickly.
Yeah, indeed it was. I mean, I think for us, it was surprising for us as well that another company approached us so early on. But it was a very, very good fit because Satlantis, they had a very similar trajectory to ours. They were also a spin out from a university. They started out as an astronomy project developing very innovative instrumentation to take images. They eventually focused on Earth observation, and they have faced a lot of challenges that we're facing right now. For us, it's sort of a glimpse into the future, and it has been very useful not only on the technology development side, but on the business development side as well.
And do you still operate as a separate company, or have you been absorbed within them?
No, we still operate as a separate company. The way we arranged it wasn't. We don't see it that much as an acquisition, more of a strategic alliance. Right. So we're still retaining control of the company and the day-to-day operations. Our board, the three founders are still part of the board, and we have non-executive directors as well as directors from Satlantis. So yes, we have structured it in a way that has worked very well for both companies.
That sounds positive. I mean, you've touched on already some of the kind of the ties you have to Cambridge, but it's exciting that you're building the company and building the team locally. So you describe what that looks like in terms of, what kind of infrastructure you need in terms of building the company and what kind of growth you feel like the company might go on over the next few years.
That's a good question. I mean, before I relocated to the UK, I wasn't that familiar with the Cambridge ecosystem, especially on the entrepreneurship side. But we've received so much support throughout the journey, especially from the university through Cambridge Enterprise, not only helping us out transferring the technology from the university to the company, but also on the investment side of things. I mean, there were effectively our first investors. They helped us out reach to angels, to other VCs based here in Cambridge, providing guidance as well with the business plan, with the pitch deck. Apart from Cambridge Enterprise, we've also been working very closely with the Entrepreneurship Center at the Judge Business School. Yeah, we've been part of the Accelerate Cambridge program since 2020. Right when COVID started and with all the lockdowns and things. So they've been a great support for us. And apart from that, it's just a great place to be. It's a lot of events to support startups and to meet fellow founders. Yeah, I would say Cambridge is a great place to start a company. Going back to your question about the team, I mean, also it's a fantastic place to start a company because of the talent that you have available. I mean, mostly we've been hiring technical people up to this point because it's been very R&D heavy. But yeah, now it's getting to a point where we need more support on the management side of things, on the financials. So we're expanding the management team as well. I mean, the growth has been considerable. About a year ago, it was about 7 of us in the company. Now it's 20. We're aiming to grow to 26 by the end of the year.
Picking up on you mentioned Accelerate Cambridge there. You have taken advantage of the grants, of the supports, of the different programs that are out there. Some of them being industry specific, some of them being more startup specific. Have there been any main differences between those programs? Any strengths, weaknesses of each of them?
Say these programs are good for startups, as you mentioned, at different stages. Accelerate Cambridge was fantastic for us because it's really for startups that are just maybe the founders, and that's it. They have an idea, they want to develop something. And it really helped us to start changing our mentality of how we thought about SuperSharp. Before, it was mainly a technology development, R&D project. And it was with Accelerate Cambridge, we started focusing more on how we can turn this into an actual business. So what story do we need to tell investors? Which customers do we need to approach? How to show that there's actual commercial interest in the company. So that was extremely useful. And we've been part of other programs, accelerated programs along the journey as well. I do feel, you need to select the right program based on the stage that your company is at. Because sometimes you can start an accelerator program which is more focused on earlier stages, so it won't be that beneficial. And then there's going to be other programs that are really going to push you to your limit as well, which is what you want.
So you've given us that kind of that target of 2026 for your launch, and you've talked about how R&D intensive it's been so far. How much thought has gone into, have you kind of defined your kind of business models yet and how you go to market with that? Have you started the sales process, or is that something that kind of kicks on from this point forward? No,
we've started this process a while ago.
Right.
I mean, really our business model will focus, well, there will be two streams. First, it will be from the sales of the telescopes. So we're going to sell to Earth observation satellite operators that are already operating their own satellites. We're going to sell our instruments. And these are for companies that are wishing to expand their product portfolio. So instead of offering just optical data or radar data, they can offer thermal data as well. The other side of the business model is operating our own satellites and selling capacity on board the satellite. So we're not going to be selling individual images to end customers. What we're going to be selling is the right to image a certain location over the lifetime of the satellite. So there's a business model that Satlantis is currently using and has been working very well for them. And so that's why we want to follow this business model as well.
Okay, that's interesting then. So you almost like you have to claim a territory then as being the rights owner for that territory to take the images?
You can do it that way.
Yeah,
I can give you an example. Based on a Satlantis customer, they have an oil and gas company in the U.S. that wants to use one of their satellites to monitor their pipelines. So they effectively sell the right to image over the U.S.
So it's very much a first mover advantage situation then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's brilliant. So you have definitely an exciting 18 months ahead of you. You mentioned a few things that you're looking to in the future. So, building out the management team, getting some other recruitment underway. You've got to fill your office that you've got over at Cambridge Innovation Park. Is there anything that you would like to ask of the audience who listen into the podcast?
Yeah, since we're growing, recruitment is always a challenge. If there's anybody interested in working at SuperSharp, we're always keen on looking at new applications, looking at the Cambridge talent as well. I mean, the other ask would be companies that are working on satellite image processing. We're always looking for partners on that side of things. And thermal imaging from space is so new that there's a lot of applications that haven't been explored. So we're always keen to partner with these downstream companies to really understand the full potential of this data set.
Really interesting. We appreciate you taking the time to come on.
Thank you for the invitation.
Today's show was produced by Carl Homer of Cambridge TV and supported by our media partner, Business Weekly. The Cambridge Tech Podcast is available on all major podcast platforms and on cambridgetechpodcast.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please give it a 5-star review. It will really help others discover the show.
The Cambridge Tech Podcast is supported by Rathbones, a leading provider of individual wealth management services to private clients, entrepreneurs, charities and professional partners. For more information, please visit rathbones.com. The value of your investments and the income from them may go down as well as up, and you could get back less than you invested. Cambridge Acorn Project is a local charity providing life-changing support to children and their families who've experienced trauma and abuse and are living in poverty. There's been a huge increase in demand for our services, and we're asking local people and organisations to support our work, giving more families the chance to emotionally recover from trauma and abuse. To find out more, please visit cambridgeacornproject.org.uk.